I'm talking to you.
Is it hard to be funny?
Takes a lot of practice.
We've got a lot of students and I know Loon said that when he was in high school, he was known as a guy who was like the class clown, but I don't know if he was truly funny back then. He's funny now. Is it hard to be funny?
Yeah, it's hard to be funny, especially because no matter how funny you are, not everyone's going to think it's funny, which sometimes is funny by itself.
Is it dangerous to try to be funny?
It's only dangerous if you're not watching your surroundings carefully enough.
So some of these people may be thinking about a career in entertainment, and most people do try to be funny. What kind of advice might you have?
I would say practice, practice, practice. There's the funniest people in the world. In fact, I think it was Chris Rock who said this in an interview, that the funniest people in the world spend a lot of time not being funny. And that's part of how you develop both the thick skin to keep going, but also you learn what is funny. And sometimes you have to be not funny for a while in order to get a greater appreciation. It's a fine line between not funny and funny.
And is it hard to maintain your level of skill? Let's say you get there, now you got a problem, because if you're lazy, you're going to lose that, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially with comedy. Comedy is so subjective. I have some albums, some vinyl albums from when I was a kid of various famous comedians.
Better tell them what an album is.
An album, it's like a CD, but it's this big.
And we call them
records. It's made out of plastic. You play it on a device called a record player.
Wow, tocadiscos.
What he said. And yeah, so most of these comedians, they aren't funny anymore. Comedy loses its edge very quickly. So yeah, you have to stay on it if you want to stay funny.
Do performances make you tired?
Yes, performances make me more tired than most things that I do in my life.
Why?
Because not only, I mean, my performance is fairly low key, but a lot of performers run around and are very athletic. So there's that aspect of it. But you're giving so much emotionally to the audience. It's a really heightened sense of awareness that is not normally part of life.
And here, it's outside. I know that you do things and others do things that are inside too. But have you noticed whether being indoors or outdoors affects either the audience or you?
Oh yeah, it affects everybody. The best audience you'll ever have will probably be inside, in comfort, in the shade. Here at a fair, you're outside, you're probably in the sun, so it affects the happiness of everybody. It makes it harder, but you can still, of course, do a great show.
Did I hear that spontaneous request from the audience for higher? Higher! Really high this time. All right, really, really, really high this time. More than 25 feet, way above my head and right back to the string. Really, really, really high. Higher? Higher? Okay, but remember, you asked for it. Are you ready for the high launch? That was pathetic. I said, are you ready? The Flying Diabolo! Higher?
You've got a blow dart gun. Have you ever shot an apple or a watermelon with your blow dart gun?
I have never shot any fruit.
Have you ever shot a lion or a monster?
No.
But would you if you had to?
Well, I mean, if they're coming at me, yeah.
Let's say a monster is coming at you. Could you handle it?
Oh, if a monster was coming at me, I would shoot the monster.
As a giant, have you ever had to scare somebody? I mean, were there times when you...
Ooh, you mean like when those guys were trying to beat up on the Culver's mascot? And I said, you better leave my buddy alone or I'll kick you 7 ways to Sunday. Pew! I got these high heels for a couple things now.
How are we today, ladies? There we go! Let's kick it into high gear rate. That's a fine Honda. On the other side.
Oh yeah, like that's gonna work. Yeah.
I mean, giants can't hug people.
No, some people try, and that's really scary because if I don't have control, I can't have the momentum that I need to stay up, and I will not stay up. They need to pretend. Most people pretend to hug. Oh, I wish I could hug you. And they'll do this, but not touch me. Most parents will say to their children, don't touch, don't touch, don't.
Oh.
But sometimes they don't, and the children touch, and I'm strong enough and I am experienced enough that I can see that they're coming, and I just brace myself.
I've watched Amy the Giant, Amy La Gigante, in different costumes, and you're really good. How many different giants can you be?
I don't know. I've probably been about 20 different giants. I have about 10 different costumes that we do a lot. Statue of Liberty, the Ear of Corn, the Farmer, Festive. We call it festive, like a festival. Cowgirl is popular. Pirate is popular. So we try to rotate these around a lot so that we can focus on also building a character to go with the costume.
I'm going to Portugal. I'm a guest of Luis de Matos, who's probably the most famous magician in Portugal, and the guy is so smart. If you can be funny in someone else's language, you got it going on, in my mind, because being humorous is difficult in any language, but if you can be humorous in a tongue that is not your native tongue, you are so smart.
On your website, I read that you have a big pile of junk in back of your house. Do you ever really use anything from it? And does the pile get any smaller? And would your wife say something different to these questions?
The answers would be yes, yes, and no. Yes, the pile gets smaller because I do use the stuff. Yes, I do use the stuff. And no, my wife probably doesn't think the pile gets much smaller.
And where do you get the stuff? Do people donate it to you?
Sometimes I find it. Sometimes people give me stuff. I've had people give me, I have in my backyard a dentist's, you know the light that they have that hangs over you, right?
The scary light.
The scary light when you're on the dentist's chair, right? I have one of those. Somebody gave it to me. The thing's like up there. Like, it looks so cool because it's got this arm and it's like a head
What
thing.
are you going to do with it?
Who knows? I'll do something with it because I love stuff like that.
Testing, 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 testing. Sean, how old are you? Here, let's do this. All right, here we go. How old are you, Sean?
I'm 13.
Do you think that the people who are watching could walk on stilts if they wanted to?
I do, for sure.
Do you think very many people really want to walk on stilts, or do you think people just say that? Because a lot of people say they want to do something, but after they start it, they don't really follow through. I don't know any stilt walkers, so I don't know.
Well, I think it's kind of something that if you're really attached to learning it, then you can quickly. But if you're kind of like so, like I think if you start to learn, you'll love it so much. It's hard to fall out of it.
Tell us how fast you can go on a pair of stilts.
I'm really not sure. It's pretty hard because they're kind of peg legs. You can't use your ankles at all, so you can't go too fast.
How old were you when you first started walking on stilts, and how big were those stilts?
I think I was probably about 6 or like 5, and I used little 1 foot. They were like tin cans.